That's the foundational
What
response.
about you, man? Are you in my life forever, bro?
I mean,
are you here for me? Is it just for a season? Please, no.
Crocodile tears. Tears is real.
Please.
I have no intentions of leaving you. Like 50 Cent said, I don't want no problems. But if you want problems, no problem.
No problem. You love quoting that thing, man.
However, when it comes to a general understanding and a viewpoint and being able to, one, accept differences and then two, have a conversation about those differences without being hyper emotional about it, I don't have a lot of people that can do that. So based on that, you're not going anywhere on account of me.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? It is I, Stone Stafford. Welcome to Life on Podcast. This is where we listen and inspire friends in entertainment.
And everywhere.
Because life happens to everyone. So again, as I said before, I'm Stone Stafford. And my man over to my right.
I'm not saying my name again because I already told you.
This is Stone Stafford Jr.
What the?
See, I knew you wouldn't like that one.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Mr. Johnny Vaughn.
How's it going? Yes, I'm Johnny Vaughn. Nice to
What's
meet
up,
you guys who are here for the first time? Nice to see you if you're back.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, thanks for the growth, man. We are growing, and I appreciate that. So please continue to like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. Trust me, it matters.
Yes.
We're hitting that 1 million subscribers in 2023.
Yeah.
Question for you, sir.
Okay.
Because I'm at a little bit of a crossroads, a little bit of a heartbreak. So are you remember Nikki, right?
Yes.
All right.
Hey, Nikki.
We used to work out together, all this kind of stuff. And I say it, but no, Tasha's the one who said it first. She was like, I think you found your soulmate. You know, and soulmate isn't always romantic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Soulmate doesn't always mean
Mine
somebody.
was an animal, so.
There it is.
No, my cat. Yeah, my cat was
Your cat's your soulmate.
Yeah.
Oh, I get that.
Yeah, no, it was one of those,
I
like, my pet, he knew when I was sad. He used to bring me stuff that would make me, like, it was, yeah.
So I get that.
I don't even mean that as a joke, so I meant that seriously.
No, I believe you. I get that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, soulmate doesn't always mean romantic, brother. But, you know, she just gets me. I get her. And she used to say that all the time. She'd go, how the heck do you know me so well? You know? So, anyway, she's getting married. Congratulations to her and all that. I'm excited for her. You know, and she moved and all that. So, No, she lives with her fiance now, James. Real cool guy. You know what I mean? He definitely keeps me on my toes. He doesn't even know about it because dude is cut up. Okay. Like, he was a natural competitor. So this dude stays sliced and diced. Okay. Every time I see him, I'm sucking in my gut. But nah, he's a dope cat. But I ain't gonna lie, man, I miss her. I genuinely miss her, man. Yeah. But I think it was Tosh or someone said that, you know, even with soulmate, like, not everybody is meant to be in your life forever. Okay. You know what I mean? Or at certain levels even. You know what I mean? So, like, I've had people who I've worked with in the industry who, you know, I kind of miss working with them. And I always thought we were going to be, like, aces forever. And I don't know. What I want to know, because you always have a different perspective on all this kind of stuff. Do you find any truth to that? I mean, even though we know it happens, is it because it's supposed to happen that way? Is that just how life works? Or is it just a thing that you just didn't really maintain that relationship? Or what? Because this might help my heartbreak. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being dramatic.
I've got multiple views on it, but it just depends on from what angle we're having the conversation. When you say that some people aren't supposed to be in your life forever, I don't really believe in supposed tos.
Oh, yes, this is true.
So
this is true.
And when you go to my foundational belief of predestined stuff, that statement disqualifies that from being a part of how I can perceive it. Okay. Can you personally outgrow and no longer feel you can get something from an individual that you were getting that was fulfilling in a certain way? Absolutely. Can that drive you to decide hey, this isn't the best thing for us anymore? Of course. If that person does that to you, can it cause heartbreak in a sense? Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Is it predestined to be that way? I don't think so. And case in point, I'll take marriage, for instance. The biggest thing in American marriage institutions, aside from divorce, is the fact that people say that marriage is work. And after you get past the honeymoon phase, you have to choose to stay in it. So at that point, you can either say, hey, we've outgrown each other. Your time for being with me is over. We're done. Or you can make the make a decision to make it stay. So that's the foundational response.
What about you, man? Are you in my life forever, bro?
I mean,
are you here for me? Is it just for a season?
Please no. Crocodile tears. Tears is real.
Well, here's the thing that kind of sparked that as well. Uh-huh. So
I wanted to answer you, but go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, answer, please.
I have no intentions of leaving you. What I tell people all the time, I very rarely send friend requests on Facebook, and the reason for that is despite what my life is, I don't feel like I'm an interesting enough person to interject myself into somebody else's life. However, after we've met and you decide that, hey, and then you request me, I absolutely will accept the friend request. I do not delete friends on Facebook. So if we become friends on a social media platform or in real life,
and we use that term lightly,
use it lightly,
yeah.
And at some point we are disassociated by it was not me. But if you make that decision, like 50 Cent said, I don't want no problems. But if you want problems, no problem.
No problem. You love quoting that thing, man. You love quoting that.
So I say this as I see, even with what we're doing with L.I.F.E on podcast, one, I'm thrilled that something that you created, that you felt that I could bring something to it. And I think we've created and continued to, and we're still growing something awesome. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Right. And even stuff outside of this, like we've texted about personal stuff and talked about and that's necessary because we've said before, it's very rare you find a person that gets you. We're not soulmates, I don't think.
No.
However, when it comes to a general understanding and a viewpoint and being able to one, accept differences and then two, have a conversation about those differences without being hyper emotional about it, I don't have a lot of people that can do that. So based on that, you're not going anywhere on account of me.
I see why you say that. We get each other like a taser and a criminal. One can't have one without the other. You know what I'm saying?
I like it. So a long-winded answer, but I hope it brought some clarity to it.
Because but you actually, when you said that it all depends on the aspect that you're doing it from. Because another thing is, so you looked out for me on a situation before. I mean, I'm gonna stop speaking in ambiguities, man. You gave me an opportunity to help you with a podcast.
Okay,
right? Remember that podcast? Yeah. With Mackenzie becoming, and that was great. I learned a lot while I was doing it. First of all, and made some pocket money, so that was a good look. But even though I'm always looking for a way I can hook up those that are close to me, I was always keeping an eye. I was always like, I can't wait to be able to, for all intent and purposes, pay Johnny back. I can't wait to return the favor. Not necessarily because I felt like I owed you, but because, all right, you did one for me, I'm gonna do one for you. And so now what just happened recently with this opportunity with Clifco, that just happened. But I was excited when I heard that sound. I was like, yo, this is horrible. I was like, he needs it. You know what? I'm bringing Johnny in on this thing. But I couldn't wait. I told my time. I said, look, I got a chance to scratch Johnny's back. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll say this because even when we interviewed Cliff, I remember half-heartedly joking. I was like, one day I'm gonna get my invite. Because the concept of what he
did, you speak that into existence? Oh,
sure. Sure, absolutely. That's absolutely what happened. But it was one of those things where it was like, I know that the way my business is structured, it's not, from the way I see it, it's not something that would hit the radar of what Clifco does. And that's also by intention of me, because I've been perfectly honest with you. Even though I do a lot of big stuff, I like to keep my stuff low key because I like to go do it and get to come home and be a regular human being. I enjoy that.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting it, but if an opportunity presented itself, I wasn't going to not take it. So with that being said, when you mentioned it, I also got excited.
Right.
Because it was like, I didn't even have to try. Because a lot of times I have to try.
No, I feel you. So you got excited that an opportunity literally just dropped
in my lap. Yeah.
So what I wanted to catch myself on is,
so as long as you keep dropping situations in my lap, I'm gonna keep you in my life.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
All jokes aside,
and I think the part that I was concerned with about people being in your life forever, because sometimes because you did something for me, then I shouldn't automatically feel like I should do. Let's do it the other way. If I do something for you, I shouldn't automatically feel then you should do something for me
back
in the future.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because again, I do believe that sometimes people are in your life forever, but then sometimes there are people in your life for a specific purpose, a specific time. And I'm not even saying it's predestined or nothing like that, but because we meet.
Just for Johnny, can we rephrase it? Can we say people can be in your life to serve a specific purpose as opposed to being in your life for?
It's tomatoes. But I get the paradigm shift if that's what makes you feel better, for sure.
So I can digest it a little bit better for conversational purposes.
Is that what you were choking on?
Yes.
But I mean, I think that's true. And the reason why, because you remember, this is going kind of back a little bit. Remember when, don't laugh, when Benzino, it's the only one that's sticking out in my brain, when he was feeling some kind of way towards, remember he was kind of salty.
Was this the Source thing, the magazine thing?
Yeah, I think so. He was like, man, they was begging me to Khaled or somebody's like, he was begging me.
I do remember that. It was like Khaled and Kevin Hart and somebody else, and he was like, I gave all of these people shots,
and then
like now that I'm down, where are these people at?
Exactly. So and he got salty with it.
I'll be honest. So Benzino's my dude. When I say my dude, like it's not like we friends or nothing like that. But like every time I run into him, he remembers me.
You F with him.
It's been core, yeah. And then he's nothing like the TV person. I'm not gonna say he's nothing like it, but like he's an actual down to earth, real cool dude. We talk business about a lot of stuff. He put me up on a bunch of game when I met him the last time. It was I have a genuine respect for him. But when I saw that. I immediately thought about Jay-Z's line. It was like, well, if you put me on, then put yourself on there. And it was like, all right, you had the source. You gave all these people these other opportunities. You obviously had the magic. Where's your magic at now? Because, and that's how I saw that particular scenario. Not so much people being in your life just to do something in that situation, but he was the outlet. So why did you stop being that is how I saw it.
Well, just because you put someone else on doesn't necessarily mean you can put yourself on in that scenario. We have a personal friend, and again, I don't like talking in ambiguities, but if it's not going to show someone necessarily in the most positive of light, I'm going to leave their name out of it. Sure. But that's not to say I'm saying anything negative either. But we have a friend who has put a ton of people on, right?
Yeah.
But by all intent and purposes, he's not on.
Yeah.
You know, now there are background stories and background reasons, sure. But still, like the impact that dude has had and the people that he has put on and the things that they've been able to accomplish literally because of him, myself included. Now, granted, I put him on. So, you know, I returned the favor.
I too owe some stuff to him.
Yeah. So just because you put someone else on in a situation doesn't mean you could have put yourself on.
I've got a couple of people who I put into some situations because of people I knew. My friends worked in industries that weren't necessarily beneficial to me, but they're still my friends.
Exactly.
But then, you know, someone else came along. I'm going to use this one as a perfect example. My wife. My wife was an actress. And that's all she wanted to do for a real long time was act. She actually came and competed at the AMTC thing, and she was like 12th overall.
I think I remember that.
You might not have been there for that one. But she, you know, she scored really, really high. She got stupid amounts of callbacks. Some work came out of it. But I was personal friends with Jamie and Joy Purpose. Like I'd known them for like 10 years.
Right.
And I've made a direct introduction to them, not only because my wife was an actress and they were agents, but like my wife wanted to get into the back end of it. And then she ended up turning J Purvis into a client of hers. She ended up working for the agency.
Oh, okay.
And that was kind of her back door into it. And for about 10 years, she functioned as an agent for one of the 3 top agencies in the Southeast. That happened in my household. Jamie and Joy have never been able to do anything for me because I'm not an actor.
Because you're not an actor, right? I mean, you do act a fool, but that's different.
I will cut
that's
up.
different.
But I mean, their spirits have always been something that I've absolutely enjoyed. They both always make me laugh. So it's never been a can I do what can you do for me? But if it's ever been a situation when I can make a connection, the whole thing with McKinsey. After the Clifco thing, when you got into that, I was like, okay, so Stone's moving into the business where a lot of my clients are Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, and I'm in with those people. They can't really do anything for me because I have no desire to function in that. And I saw that as an opportunity to say, okay, these are people that are doing things that Stone's looking to get into. At the very least, they need to know each other.
Yeah.
And that's what that was. And so I do 100% understand that you may not always be able to put yourself in a situation because you may be a conduit. And that's
right. And that might have been the role you were supposed to serve
you could serve
you
in
could,
for that
not supposed to, right? That you could, you got to learn a whole nother language with you, bro. Like that you could serve in at that unforeseen time.
Absolutely. Right. And I mean, so when you put it in that context, I 100% think that certain people can and do show up in your life for certain reasons. Now, again, when we get down into science, I do believe in energies and attracting things. So you put enough stuff out there, you will attract things that are necessary. And if you're open to it, you will find those things without even looking in most cases.
Yeah, I did one time and I'll admit in hindsight, it's kind of a petty, it was a petty move where like and I'm still working on it. So that's why I'm speaking in the present tense. Sometimes I get annoyed when I'm always having to reach out to whom I consider friends. Whereas like, if I don't reach out to you, I ain't ever going to hear from you. Right. And that used to bug me. And I went on this whole thing one time where I was like, you know what? I ain't reaching out to nobody no more. I said, if I don't hear from you, you don't hear from me, then that's just what it's going to be. And we'll just go the rest of our lives not hearing from each other because I'm tired of being the one just trying to anchor in this relationship. And I mean, of course, after time, maturity sets in and I realized I was being stupid petty.
I'm still very immature then.
Yeah, no, it was still petty because what I realized is that because over time I'll miss them. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I wonder how this person's doing. I wonder how she's doing. I wonder how he's doing. And I'll go ahead and reach out, whatever. And then all of a sudden we'll connect again. And now we're going back and forth for a while, and I love it. And then it'll kind of taper off again. And I'm like, you know what? But that's just what it is. It doesn't mean we're not friends. It just means we don't have to be the whole friend thing that talks every day. And I think that's one of the things that I had to grow in is friends doesn't have to be a daily activity thing.
It's not.
Right.
Especially once you become an adult.
And if it is, that's just a different circle of friends, more of an inner circle of friends. So
and a lot of times it comes down to who you're working with most of the time, who that becomes your inner circle with. I'll be honest. If we weren't doing the podcast, I would have a reason to reach out to you. I don't know if you'd necessarily have a reason to reach out to me.
No, of course. Because you are so there are two people who... There used to be three, but Stacy's not really around much anymore. But there are two people whom I need to have. How do I say this? Because if I say it wrong, some people are going to get offended.
Do I need to push my chair back real quick?
No, I don't want to say even different levels. There are different angles of conversations to have. So we won't go angles. We'll go angles.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? And so I can't have those with a lot of people in my circle. That's why I like Lee so much. Now that I've met him, I love talking to Lee a lot. But I love talking to you. My brother, thank God, my brother is one whom I can have these kind of conversations with. And then Tisha. Tisha's another one that I can have more of these. Here's the deal. I don't want to call them intellectual. I'm going to call them more analytical and logical conversations. Oh, and Angie Irons is another one who I can have these conversations with. I typically can't have those in my house now, but those are the roles y'all serve, right? So for that reason, even if the podcast ended, we'd probably still talk. You know what I mean? But then there are roles that other people serve, like my sister-in-law, Janelle. Like I've had several people side eye us. You know what I mean? And I mean, we even one time I think we were in a mall somewhere, and someone just by our energy, whatever, they actually thought we were married. I said, oh no, it's my sister. She was like, oh no, that's my brother. She was like, gross. But there are things that there are jokes that we can do that I can't do with Tasha. Is like, that's dumb, that's stupid, that's corny. How much money did we make this week? But with Janelle, I can have these conversations with, and so again, people play certain roles. There's a connection that I like. Janelle, she really is she's a Tosh point too. Like to me, and I joke about it with Tosh, Janelle, and Tiki, but like I always say, they're my sister wives because each of them bring. I mean, Tasha obviously is the main, my queen, and all that. But at the end of the day, they all bring this piece that actually completes the puzzle of stone.
They're the parts of your femininity that you don't have.
Or however you want to describe it. I don't know if you're getting metaphysical with that or spiritual, but yeah.
I am. When you think about the whole yin and the yang, or the positive and negative, or the masculine and the feminine, you seek out, and that's the whole thing behind marriage and the whole male female soulmate thing anyway before we started getting into the spectrum was finding that person that completes that part of you that you don't absolutely have. But the thing that I 100% believe in is that there's no one individual is going to complete all of those parts.
All of it. And
so absolutely,
you just
will
came
have,
into that.
Yeah, you absolutely have multiple people that that'll serve multiple variables. Now, I wish I had that. Like I'm tempted to attempt that with my wife because a lot of my other closer friends are females for that reason because they exude that female energy that I just do not have.
Right.
But from a perspective that I can identify with, like my son's godmother, we are the same person. So much so that we have the biggest love-hate relationship in the world. And I think I told you about this before, that one time we met up and we hugged and my wife immediately was like, did y'all ever do anything together? And I was just like, what? And it was like, it's like my sister. What? Like,
right.
It was legit one of those situations. But I mean, she's a dancer. She's heavily artistic herself. She used to choreograph for, I think she did the whole fleet for Princess Cruise Lines forever. I mean, she's over dancing in Germany now. So we don't see each other at all. And we only text like once every 4 months. She texts Micah more than me because they've got each other's numbers. So they talk all the time.
Right.
But she and I, like, whenever we get back together, it's like no time has passed. It's one of those situations. And I mean, if I ever have a situation where it's like, all right, my wife is driving me nuts. I don't get this. And as much as my wife doesn't like me talking about what happens with her, hey, yo, B, so hypothetically, I have a scenario at home. If this were happening, how should I be looking at? And she always gives me a straight...
Look, and being married, stuff we understand it's a slippery slope, it's a thin line. Like we get that, and I try to keep everyone as tied into Tosh as I can. Like Tosh knows Nikki very well. Obviously, Janelle. I'm kind of glad that Janelle plays a role in my life that she does because she's Tosh's sister. So that makes that a lot easier. It makes it a whole lot easier. And look, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, there are, God forbid something happened with me and Tasha, whatever. The line stops at anything past that with Janelle. Like there are areas about me that just gross her out. Like bottom line. And then there are areas about her that I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I could live with that every day. You know what I'm saying? So that's easy enough. But like I said, the things that she does bring to the table, like I would flat out miss it. And I ain't gonna lie to you, a part of me would feel incomplete if it were gone. That doesn't take anything away from Tosh. And thank God she knows and understands that. I mean, I'm literally the man who I am today. I always attribute it to God, my mom, and Tosh, period, hands down, end of story. But like I said, people like my sister, and then like Tiki, what I love about her is like we can have, I love our disagreements because she talks through them. Right? She'll sit there and say, okay. And she'll listen to what I'm saying. And then she'll give her part and we can go back and forth and agree. And then all of a sudden we find where we missed it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like with Janelle, it might be more thing like she got hurt or I hurt her feelings or I offended her and stuff like that. And with Taj, it's kind of like, look, I'm right. I'm just waiting for you to realize that I'm right. You know what I'm saying? So I said they all bring something to the table. Absolutely. And each one of them makes stone complete. You know what I mean? So, and again, it's just how you do. But in music and in entertainment, which is kind of how I had this whole thought process anyway, it can work the same because y'all can, like Shakespeare and Candy, a lot of people may not know who that. Candy Burris, a lot of people don't know who Candy Burris is. Shakespeare's Kevin Briggs was a huge producer. He did No Scrubs, Bills, all these big records back in the day. But they made all these hit records on TLC and all these other people together. But that didn't necessarily mean they were supposed to be together for life. Right. Because I think they even started. Personally, they were together.
I've heard too. That. I don't know if I can confirm.
There was a personal relationship that happened. It wasn't a secret, you know. So there was a personal relationship too. But I wonder if the line got blurred because the connection was so strong as producer and writer, and they vibed so hard and so strong. It felt like it was probably supposed to be more, but then when it became more, I feel, and this is from the outside looking in, I don't know the inner workings, I feel it started to throw a wrench into things, and then it messed up the professional side of it all, which in turn is going to mess up the personal side. So that's what kind of got me on this thing, and I think that'll help a lot of folks too, is like, you know, just because somebody y'all are clicking today, don't try to force it to be something deeper than what it is. But at the same time, I would never block it from being something deeper. I'm just learning now just to go with the flow.
See where it goes.
Go where it flow. Yep.
I want to ask you this specifically because I think this is when it comes to blurring lines, the conversation about it gets blurred because of the way the statement is generally used. Because people will always say people are in your life, whether it's business related, friendships, for a season. I hate
reason
that
for a season.
I hate that phrase personally.
Right.
I think it misunderstands what the situation is on a mass scale for what every situation is. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the use of people are only supposed to be in your life for a season is an adequate use of that statement? Or do you think the conversation that we're having for people can serve a purpose is more effective to think about it?
Well, to me, that's what that phrase means. And so maybe it doesn't mean to. So I would like to know from you, what does for a season mean? But for a season, to me, means to serve a purpose. That's literally what for a season means. It means like they're here for a season, for a reason, for a purpose. Okay. We don't even have to say supposed to be or predestined. Okay. But that's what that means to me. So clearly it doesn't mean that to you. So what does for a season mean for you? Just literally mean time?
So literally seasons are cyclical.
Sure. So
Summer,
you mean
spring,
literal. You mean by literal definition.
Summer, spring, fall, winter. It happens again.
No,
basketball season starts in October.
It's definitely metaphorical.
It ends top of the summer.
No. It's way more metaphorical.
Basketball season comes back in October. So but that's the thing.
So if you ever tell me to go out there and crush it, I need to make sure I understand how society means that phrase and not Johnny. I'm like stone smash. Because Johnny said crush it.
Johnny said crush it. I think it's important because, again, I'm very careful with how and what I say things. Because if we're going to say words have power.
They do.
And the meaning behind those things, the vibrational intent of that, if we're going to...
Then you got to deal with the person's perception and interpretation.
Very true.
Which adds a whole lot of other layers.
It does. It adds a lot of stuff to it. But my intent... when people come to me and they say that person was only in my life for a season, in my eyes, I'm like, okay, you just left the door open for them to be back in a quarter or so.
Oh my gosh. You're literally the only person I know that thinks like that. Well, that doesn't mean you're the only one.
The reason why
I've never met anyone that took that phrase like that. The reason why I
say that, so I have two friends, I'm not going to say either of their names for the same reason that we did earlier, who have gone through a cycle of back and forth. Both of them have had prominent entertainment careers. I know them both and owe quite a bit to both of them. Mm-hmm. They have had falling outs and they have come back together. They have had falling outs again and they have come back together.
You just described me and Ian.
That's not the intent. But
you did. Or me and Tasha's relationship with Ian.
Okay.
You literally just described that.
Okay.
Over the course of 30 years, that's what it's been.
So in that sense, I think the term for a season is applicable because it passes,
it's cyclical like a season,
and then it rises again. There was never they served a purpose and then it was done. So I think it has to be. I think the intent behind it has to be very specific from your understanding, and in that way, let's say that
I can't argue with
that
you.
shaking candy situation was what it was. If that understanding was better, not for a season, but for a purpose,
or your definition of the understanding, I'd be willing to bet.
Yeah, and by no means am I trying to say my.
No, we're not saying we know how you are on that because we know how you're always preaching me not to be that way because you feel like I am.
Ow.
But I wasn't thinking that you're trying to be that way. But of everyone that I've known who knows that phrase, you're the first person I've ever known to interpret it that way.
And I will say this. A lot of times when the mass has been interpreting something a certain way and then a light bulb moment is given, it changes the perspective of that whole group and then things start functioning differently. Possibly. So in this situation, I'm going to say everybody's been interpreting it wrong.
Of course you are.
Just gonna put it out there and just say,
say that.
You need to fix how you look at it.
We need to get on Johnny's train.
Yeah, just, think about it like me for a change, and it'll fix your life.
But the popular understanding of that phrase is because, and actually not even popular, because I did read somewhere that the whole reason why they say season, they weren't focusing on the cyclical part of it. They were focusing on the temporary part of it. Right. And that's really what it meant. Yeah. So we can easily say, people are in your life temporarily.
Absolutely.
We can say that, but season sounds better and it flows better and it's pretty.
And that's another issue that I have with it because we are so predetermined to make things feel and sound pretty.
Don't get me started, bro.
That drives what we do. I know so many people. Man, it makes me feel so good when I go do this.
And this is why we will always be in touch. Because we on the same page.
Now, I will stand by what I say. Like if something makes you happy and it feels good, I do say find that thing and do it a lot. However, the emotional aspect of those things can ruin so much because you're creating it for the feeling. And when we do that with statements, it can become a problem.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So that's...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right. The whole sugarcoating syndrome we have going on right now.
That's it.
The whole conscious parenting, which again, to your thing, has been twisted.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So
yes.
I agree.
So that's how I see it.
This has helped. This has helped me with that whole thing of understanding. In business, it's never bothered me.
Really?
Not really.
Okay.
Although, if I'm going to be 1,000% transparent and honest, I do find that I try to push the personal connection. Like once I realize there's a connection, and even if it's business wide, but we just clicking, I then try to be like, okay, now we got to become friends, and that's not.
I think that's important to do, though.
That's not always the case.
Robert Downey Jr. was having a conversation in an interview when they asked him how he felt about Chris Evans, and he said, "I absolutely adore Evans." When they first started working on the Captain America Civil War stuff,
right,
when they were going to have to work so closely together, he said the first thing he did was like, yo, man, we got to get together. We got to go out. We got to eat. We got to meld minds. I think that's actually a phrase he used because he wanted it to come off genuine on screen as if they really had conflict.
Authentic.
But in order to understand conflict, you have to have an absolute relationship.
For sure.
So I think it's really important to push that. I do it too. I don't force it per se. And a lot of my clients are so detached and out of touch with reality anyway that I don't want to.
Right.
Because I fight to not get sucked into that world. It's literally why I cut my music career off, because I got to that point where it was going to require certain things of me that I was like, I don't have the energy or the want to put that out to get this thing. Yeah. And I've experienced that in radio too. There's certain relationships in radio that I was just like, I don't want to be a friend because there's too much that comes with that I don't want to be a part of. Look at what happened with everybody who that has some type of relationship with a Kardashian. Now you have to be on
They're the friendship black hole.
You have to be on a TV show.
Goodness gracious.
I don't want that. That's not what that they would want to be my friend, but that's not a story. I don't want to be a storyline.
I can take accountability for my role in the relationships going south with two of my clients, Baby Girl 1 and an artist I used to have, Beth, is I let it get too personal. You know what I mean? Like Baby Girl flat out, one time we were going at it and she was like, "You're not my father." And I couldn't really, it hurt. But after I calmed down and thought about it, I very much was trying to be, I wasn't trying to be your father, but just I was trying to have her father be proud of the role that I was in as if he were there, which made me kind of acting like a father. And that doesn't work with a client. Even though she was young, I signed her when she was 14, turning 15, and she felt very much like my daughter because that's how much I cared for her and would do anything for her. That doesn't meld right, you know what I mean? But again, that was me being, we work together so well. You're so talented. I can do all this. Now all of a sudden we turn into friends, and then father, uncle, then big brother, uncle, father, and it just exploded.
It spirals.
Yeah. So to me, that's what a season is too.
In that situation, this is, as much as I hate this term because it gets so hyperly overused now, but in those situations when you're doing that and you're expanding it, I'm gonna throw up trying to say it. Boundaries are important to put.
You don't like the word boundaries?
I freaking hate it.
Really?
I don't like it at all.
I don't like it just because people are usually throwing it at me, which I don't know if that means I'm always trying to cross them or what. Like Cindy, my friend Cindy McClintock would say, she says, "You are Mr. Inappropriate." I mean, I almost wear it with a badge, but
boundaries.
Long as you can trust me.
My traumas, all those things. I think people are just doing it because it's the new cliquish it thing to say, so that you can have a group to belong to.
Right.
I think
it's probably just because it's so overused.
That's
now,
really it's annoying to hear.
Right. Yeah.
But in those situations, you have to enact those because you obviously can ruin the good thing. By overstepping it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I think so. I mean, if the seasonal thing is true, where we work well together now, we fall out. We're good at mending those things. We know that we can do that. We just got to take some time away from each other. I get it. But understanding that, and then understanding, okay, this individual or this event or this place or whatever serves a purpose.
Right.
Having a clear and distinct understanding of both. I didn't mean to be redundant. Clear and distinct. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure no one caught that until you brought it up.
I hate when that happens too. Understanding both of those things separately, and then knowing how to recognize when one is which, and which is the most difficult thing.
It is hard.
This is definitely easier said than done.
Yeah, for real. But it goes back to what I was saying to where I am now.
It's literally what I was about to say.
Yep. Yes, I won't force it to be, nor will I prevent it from being. No. And I think if we just stay with that, it'll just do what it do. They do what it do, baby.
There you go.
That was good. So what I want to start doing, man, because our people are showing us love, our viewers and subscribers and stuff. I want to start showing love to other podcasts.
I love y'all.
Each week. So we want to do a love shout.
Who we shouting?
Should we call it a love shout or a life shout? What should we call it? We ain't got to get fancy with it. Yeah. All right, we're going to do a love shout out to who's a good one. You know what? Since she works here at Icon all the time and helps me out with my business, Angela Gennari for Pretty Powerful Podcast. They do a podcast for powerful women. These women are CEOs, big entrepreneurs that are doing big things in business. And when I say big things, I literally mean big things. Like she had the chief of police of MARTA Police in here.
You got to get your body language and your words on the same page.
Oh, what I
did? You're talking about women and you're like big thing.
Oh, wow. Another thing I'm sure no one noticed but you. But anyway, so shout out to Pretty Powerful Podcast. Yes. You guys, please find them, listen to her, subscribe to her channel. So that is our love shout out for the week. And then, of course, we love y'all, because without y'all, we would still be doing this, but
we'd be talking to ourselves.
But we can grow into some other things. So we appreciate y'all. Check us out, lifeonpodcast.com. And if you haven't been there recently, you can now do audio and video right there on that site. So that's the only place you ever need to be. But if for some reason you don't like it, you can always go to Spotify and all that kind of stuff. StoneStafford.com. Everything Stone.
Just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONYVAN. I can say there is a timeline now for when JohnnyVaughn.com will be back up.
Woo!
So,
woo!
Yeah.
Do we have that timeline?
I'm not going to put it out there like that.
Didn't make yourself accountable.
However, the timeline is there is a timeline. It
exists. Nice. All right. Well, look, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for the support. 1 million subscribers in 2023. We see y'all next week. We love you. Peace.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.